Welcome to SharPod, a podcast that speaks medicine, research, and ethics. Today's topic is genetic research and consent. Dr. Sharpie, a genetic researcher at the Institute of SharPod Genetics, will be with us today. Genetics and genomics are booming fields of research that have been exponentially growing over the past years. With the advancement in the field of genetics, it has now become possible to create whole genome sequence databases of different individuals that represent unique footprints with the potential to tell much about individuals and communities. This potentially sensitive data warrants additional scrutiny from researchers and regulatory agencies compared to other types of biomedical research. Dr. Sharpie, can you highlight some of the most prominent ethical quandaries pertinent to genetic and genomic research?
The advances in genetic and genomic research have challenged traditional concepts of the ethical conduct of research involving humans, with informed consent being at its core. Traditional standards of informed consent require that participants enter into research voluntarily and with sufficient information about their research activity to make a comprehensive decision about participation with appreciation of the potential risks and benefits. This is a challenge in genetic research where it might not be possible to describe in detail the purpose of the research or to foresee all of the future research for which the collected data might be used at the time they are collected, or the potential risks that might unfold with the advancement of technology.
So can we say that recontact with participants for updating consent terms in genetic research is common practice?
There are multiple reasons for which researchers might want to recontact their participants. These include updating personal information, collecting new biospecimens, or consenting them to use their genetic information in another study. All these possibilities should be addressed during the initial consenting process. The participants should be able to choose whether they would like to be recontacted, and if so, they should be informed of the frequency at which such contact might occur. Different ways of consent were established for genetic research. For example, blanket consent provides consent for the use of genetic information and biospecimens in all future research at the time of collection. The opt-out system involves public disclosure of participation with an opportunity to opt out, and the categorical consent, whereby at the time of collection, participants may consent on the ways by which their samples may be used and by whom. For example, if it's allowed to be used by researchers from the commercial industry.
You mentioned the use of data by researchers from the commercial industry. Are participants entitled to any benefits generated by such research?
This is actually very controversial and brings us to the important question of who owns the genetic information and biospecimens, the researchers who collected them or the participants who provided them. Participants should be informed that their genetic information may be used to invent tests, drugs, or other commercial products, and if they are entitled to any profits generated.
And are participants also entitled to being aware of genetic findings that may be of importance to their health?
Whether and how to disclose genomic findings obtained in the course of genomic research has been a controversial global bioethical issue over the past 2 decades, with ongoing debate that ranges between the view that individual results should be offered routinely and the view that such results should seldom, if ever, be disclosed. Current guidelines set a high bar for disclosure. The findings should be scientifically valid and confirmed. They should indicate significant risk for a serious health concern, and there should be proven therapeutic or preventive interventions available. Although clinically valid and meaningful results may have a positive impact on an individual's health, providing unvalidated research results can cause stress and anxiety as well as harms when used for medical or reproductive decision making.
What if the collected genetic data were ever to get leaked? Is this a possibility participants should be aware of at the time of consent?
Biospecimen collections should establish clear policies and procedures for protecting identifiable information, which may include data encryption, coding, or establishing limited access. A description of these protections is a required element of informed consent.
What are the potential harms associated with the misuse of identifiable information?
Several risks are to be considered, like employment or insurance discrimination, stigmatization, psychological harm, and familial disruption. Thus, the extent to which biospecimens and data can be linked to specific individuals is a central component in the assessment of risks.
Wow, this looks intense. Final question. Can participants choose to withdraw at any point during the research?
Participants must be able to withdraw from the study without penalty or loss of benefits to which they are entitled. This might be complicated by the fact that biospecimens and associated genetic data may already have been distributed to secondary users.
Thank you, Dr. Sharpie, for this insightful discussion. To our listeners, Don't forget to tune in next Thursday on SharpPod, a podcast that speaks medicine, research, and ethics.